Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to expose the incompetence of the American progressives and also their fraud in terms of their insincere rhetoric. It's not only the Republicans that are doing that. So
take the next left onto North Miller
I'm
Street.
going to give you a perfect analogy that's going to pretty much explain, you know, their thought process
Turn left onto
on how
Street.
they actually fail at what they're trying to do. House apparently mentally ill, so they say. Behavior seems to suggest that might be accurate. He's under all these programs, social services, adult protective services, other like mental health organizations, right? So for 5 to 6 months, he's got trash on the back deck, bringing flies, mice, which is a safety issue not only for them but for all the other tenants living in the building, right? So we have a unsanitary condition situation. I reported to code enforcement many times, reported to social services, reported to adult protective services, reported to other organizations, reported to the city clerk. I believe I reported it to the mayor. Now, I made another video not too long ago where I talked about the difference between trying something and failing versus not trying at all. And in all these instances, from everything that I've seen, we're looking at a not trying at all result, right? So you've got little children living in a building that's getting infested by mice and flies, all because of this one guy. And everyone's just shrugging their shoulders and saying, well, it's nothing much we can do, you know, we don't have the authority, we don't have the authority. They don't have the authority. So this is what they hide behind. It's not just this situation. I've noticed this is a pattern. Whenever it's like, why are you guys not doing anything? It's, they hide behind their authority. So if the rule book says, if someone does X, you can do Y, and if someone does Z, you can do B, then that's it. That's all they know how to do, right? If someone's not doing X or Z or whatever the thing that's in the book, then it's like, we don't have any authority. What are we supposed to do? They don't have to listen to us. We can't enforce it. Okay. That would have a little bit more relevance if you actually tried and failed due to your lack of authority. But if you don't even try, and I see the same thing with people talking about Joe Biden, he doesn't have the authority to do this, and well, he has a thin majority, and this and that and that. That's what I'm saying. That's why this video is very important. It's not just about my personal issues, what I'm dealing with, or this particular issue. This is a pattern of behavior that I've observed with American progressives, Democrats, the whole lot of them, right? They always hide behind, you know, what's written down. You know, the law states that we can do X, Y, and Z, and you're asking us to do something that's not that it's illegal, but just like we don't have the power to do. We don't have any, what are you supposed to do? I'm only at this, I can only do that. And rather than actually at least try and fail, they just hide behind that. Excuses, excuses, excuses. That's the American progressives. That is the Democratic Party. And I'm not implying that the Democratic Party is a progressive party, because it ain't. Not even close. Right? But both the American progressives and the Democratic Party overall, this is the bullshit that they pull all the time. Excuses, excuses, excuses. More so the establishment Democrats than the progressive, to be fair. But still, I see the same pattern of behavior, right? It's like, if I don't have the authority to, you know, official authority written down to push for something or to make something happen, then what are they supposed to do? I don't know. Try. Anyway, not a single person made any effort whatsoever. And let me tell you the level of the lack of effort, right? The lack of, you know, think for myself. I actually care about the community. I care about these issues. So I'm not gonna hide behind what I've officially been mandated or given authority to do. I'm not gonna hide behind that. I'm gonna look at the situation and say, okay, what's going on here? What can I do about it, right? Somebody's got trash on their deck. It's a safety issue. Now me, if I'm the social worker, if I'm the mental health program person, or I'm the city official, my process is we gotta go have a talk to this guy. If we have authority to do stuff, then go do stuff. But if I don't have any specific authority, my thing is logically, let's go talk to this guy and see if we can compel him to get his fucking trash off the deck. Not a single person tried. I even suggested as much. I said, hey guys, maybe you guys could talk to him. Some of them were like, oh, we're gonna come by, whatever. They didn't do shit. I have to pay $500 to bring a Marine to come to my goddamn house to talk to this guy, and in seconds get him to be like, oh, okay. Some of you will be asking, why didn't I talk to the guy? Because of, again, these progressives brainwashing these people into this evil landlord rhetoric. I'm the evil landlord. I'm the bad guy. Ooh, can't listen to him. You don't listen to him. He wants to have power over you, and he's just sucking up all your money, and he's a parasite, right? So thanks to TYT and others on their bullshit, I get presented as the bad guy, and this guy won't listen to anything I say, and I legit can hide behind, hey, I don't have the authority, because guess what? I tried. I tried to reason with this guy, try to work with him, but I just can't get beyond the I'm the bad guy, right? But these social services people, they're not in that category, right? They'll be on the same team, right? These progressives, they push for the social safety net and these kinds of programs to help people, right? So these are the very same people that they advocate for. So if you go talk to the guy, you're not presented as an enemy. I am presented as an enemy thanks to progressive media. So they have more power to actually talk to this guy and work with him. What happens? My guy comes within seconds, just from talking to him, working with him, empathy. This is a fucking Marine. This guy is basically, or was, a mercenary. I'm gonna have to do this video offline because it got a bad reception, and this is an important video. But I had to bring a fucking killer to my house. And again, go back into the progressive rhetoric, right? Military, oh! And, hey, listen. I align with a lot of stuff the progressives push for and talk about. The only difference between me and the typical American progressive is I'm actually serious about it. I'm actually thinking about these things. What works and what doesn't work, or what's the proper way to do it. If they're doing something, is it actually working? What are the issues? Let's address those issues. I'm not just in a tribe like, Medicare for all, Medicare for all, Medicare for all, that's it, right? That's what you're supposed to say, so I'm saying it. No, I'm actually thoughtful about these things. And I want a lot of the stuff that they push for, but I want it done correctly, right? I want it to be a process that's continually improving and improving and improving, always striving to be the best that we can get. Not just allowing people to distract you with, we reduced homelessness by, 2%, and not realizing that that's the net effect. Part of what they're doing might actually increase homelessness, while at the same time reducing homelessness. So even though they can show you a number that says, oh, they reduced homelessness, they're not showing you how inefficient it was. Because it's like they're going forward and backward at the same time. They're doing some stuff that's actually helping get people off the street, but they're also doing stuff that's pushing people off the street as well, right? So my thing is, I want to reduce homelessness, but I'm serious about it. So I look at what you're doing, how effective it is, how efficient it is, and I'm like, okay, nice intentions, and I see some positive change here, but I'm also seeing that there's also some negative effects of what you're doing. Let's adjust it a little bit, so that we don't have such an inefficient process, right? That's the only difference, right? How is a Marine more trained? And it's not a matter of Marines more trained. Again, it's not like they were trying and failing. they're trying to talk to the guy and he just won't listen to them, you know? But the Marine, when he talked to them, he was better. No, they didn't talk to him, but try to compel him to do the right thing. What I'm learning is a lot of these social programs, which I support, done correctly, I support it in principle, not in terms of the way they're doing it, right? A lot of these programs, and I hate to say a Republican talking point, it's a bad faith talking point, but I'm not bad faith, I'm good faith, right? And I recognize that there's some truth. The Republicans lie a lot of times, distort things a lot of times, but that's not their goal. They just want to attack the Democrats. So if there's something legitimately wrong with what the Democrats are doing, they're going to say it. So not everything they say is just lying and distortions. They talk about how the Democrats like to throw money at things, right? And that's what I'm actually experiencing. I'm going. This whole experience has been very educational. So I see this is what they're doing essentially. They're keeping these folks alive. That's it. Throw money at them to feed them and keep them housed. Put policies so they can't get kicked out. And then whatever else happens, oh well. Destroying somebody's house, oh well. Putting other, putting people's children's lives in danger, oh well. They're alive though, and they're off the streets. We've done our part. Let me give you the analogy to explain the thought process and how these folks work, right? And I want to be very clear. These folks are far better than anything I've seen from the right, from the Republican Party. Far better on so many different levels. But I don't give a crap. It's not a competition. I don't care that you're far better than the other side, right? I care that your results are disastrous, right? I don't operate on this. You put the bar so low, right? Like, for example, they let's talk about this is the historic. This is the biggest something for climate change in history. A guy was hired 3 months ago, has never shown up for work. He shows up for work today. This has been the biggest accomplishment. Of course, if you come to work is a major accomplishment when you haven't come to work previously. If you haven't done much for climate change previously, it's not that hard to have a historic whatever. Joe Biden did historic thing for climate change. I'm not on that bullshit. I'm not on that, compared to the last guy, or historically speaking, this is a big deal. I'm about substance. What is the effect on the American people's lives of what you're doing? Without consideration to the historic significance of whatever you're doing. Right? If you have a place where no one has the virus, and today, tomorrow, one person has a virus, what is that, 100% increase? Because nobody had it. Nobody had it before. You're gonna brag? We're 100%. I mean, you wouldn't brag about people getting sick, but you're gonna, oh my goodness, 100% increase in people getting sick. Don't play games with me, man. Let me tell you how the Democrats, I'm gonna give you an analogy. Democrats see a problem with children, right? Children are falling behind in school. The schools are failing. We need to address this, right? The Democrats build a school to help these kids, but they build it next to a beehive, and the kids are all day drinking sodas. So they got the sodas out, sweet as hell. So you know what happens. The bees come out, right? So on one hand, they've helped the kids. The kids are doing better in school thanks to these schools that they funded. But then we have some kids that are now dying. They get stung with the bees. They're allergic, whatever it is, or they're losing days in school because they get sick because of the bee stings, right? So you have a certain percentage of kids that are doing better thanks to the school, a certain percentage of kids that are, suffering because of the bee stings. Previously, they would have been fine. They were fine before, right? So you've helped with the education, but introduced another problem. So then you have a net effect, right? You have a gross effort, right? But then you have a net result, right? That's one of the problems they run into: a gross effort and then a net result. Because the effort is inefficient, it introduces something that is counterproductive, right? But no one ever talks about this part. That's never discussed. The only people critiquing the progressives are bad faith actors from the right, distorting and lying and twisting things. They don't get enough critique from their own side. The main critique from their own side is not enough. Oh, it's just one school. What about all the other kids who they live far away? We need to do more. We need more schools. Instead of one, it should be 10. You guys have heard this before, right? So what is the result? So we complain about all these kids getting stung by bees. And what is their answer? They start giving the teachers bees like fly swatters. I don't know if it's a thing, bee swatter. I'm making it up. Bee swatters, right? Let's invest in bee swatters, right? You got a bunch of kids drinking sodas next to a beehive, and the Democrat and progressive answer is let's invest in bee swatters. So now you got a bunch of teachers swatting at the bees, and if I'm not mistaken, you swat at the bee and I don't know if just doing that or by you hitting them, they emit this, Uncle Reggie will clarify on this, but they emit this smell or odor that other bees can smell, and it's a danger signal, right? So you've taken kids that have a problem with education, you've created these schools which is helping them with education, but then some of them are actually being hurt where they weren't being hurt before because they're getting stung by bees. Some of them are dying, some of them are losing time in school because they're sick. And now you've added, hey, let's swat the bees. So now they're swatting the bees. Now the bees are getting more aggressive and more angry. So now you have even more kids that are getting stung by bees, right? And then it's like, okay, we're gonna invest in providing the kids with some kind of bee repellent. So they're gonna put this bee repellent on. So you got them with bee repellent on, so it reduces a little bit of the bee stings, but they're still getting stung, especially because they're being swat and it's making them angry. And it's just this backwards, like very inefficient. I hate to use the Republican, bad faith. I mean, again, they use it for bad faith. I'm using it for good faith. This talking point of just throwing money at a problem, but legit, that's what they do. That's how they think, right? Rather than get to the root of the problem. Why is this happening, right? They just keep throwing money. It's like a backwards process. My phone is overheating now. I gotta pull this thing down. Turn up the AC or something. So what is the difference in my approach? Difference in my approach is I recognize that the kids are falling behind in school, right? So I say we need to like I said, I would generally support the progressive policy. So I say, yeah, let's invest in these like school programs to help these kids, right? 1 second. I'm not sure if I'm going the right way. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. So what my thing is, so lost my chain of thought. So basically what my thought process is, again, let's do the programs for the schools, right? But then I don't just walk away. I don't, okay, let's get the program for the schools, school program for the kids, and then we start getting it. We vote for it, and then we start getting it. They start building the schools. All right, we won. We got the school programs, and then and then they feed us back the results. You know, the such and such percentage of kids are doing such and such better. This is great. This is what progress looks like, and this is the way. See, the Republicans, they don't have any solutions. Look, we have a solution. We saw the problem with education, and we built the schools, and here's the metric that shows the results. Yay! And everybody's clapping. Yay! And then you have the independent media, some that are not the Democrat sycophants, and they'll be like, you know, the Democrats are bragging about this school program, and all they did is they built one school. They should build 5 and 10 and 100 schools. You know, it's not enough. It's just crumbs. That's the. If you get a critique, that's the main critique you're gonna get from the left-wing media. Whatever they're doing that they've been championing and pushing for, it's not enough, right? We're not gonna examine how it's done, how efficient it's done. Like any kind of like critiques into the details of it, again, we'll focus on not enough. So for example, if they offer a stimulus check and then it's what's the word where they you have to like qualify for it. You know what I mean? So, you know, your salary has to be this and your this has to be that, right? That'll be the critique, which is essentially not enough. Because they're saying by you adding all of these like layers and layers, a lot of people aren't going to get the benefit of this program. So the critique would be, don't have that stuff, right? Just give everybody checks. That is the extent of the critique that the left gets for their progressive policies. It's not enough, right? No one's actually looking at what's being done, how efficient it is, right? What the problems are. So let's not just champion, oh, school programs, right? Let's look at this. Like, that's the difference between them and me. I'm not going to be there in their tribe saying more school programs. I'm going to be like, okay, this sounds good. Let me take a look, see how this is working. And I look at it and I say, wait a minute, what's up with these bee stings? You guys are helping a certain percentage of kids, but you're also hurting a percentage of kids. So you have this net effect. I think we can help a lot more kids if we think about this in a smarter way. So what's my push and thought process? My thought process is, let's do the programs, but let's do them correctly. How do you do them correctly? Don't build the goddamn schools next to beehives. Duh! Holy shit! How incompetent these folks are. Don't fucking build the schools next to beehives. Don't waste money on bees, bee swatters. Don't waste money on, get them to have bee cream or bee repellent spray. Don't build the schools near beehives, right? I look at what's the root problem. You're doing something great here, but you're losing stuff, right? It's not as efficient as it should be. But all they focus on is the positive metric. We're helping an X amount of kids. But what else are you doing? Are there any negative effects of what you're doing? You gotta address these things so that you can maximize the impact of the things you're pushing for. Because when you maximize the impact of the stuff you're pushing for, then you don't have to focus on, messaging. We need more messaging. If you weren't building the schools next to beehives, which hurts your numbers, right? If you thought about the process, say, hey, let's not build schools next to beehives. Then you have only positive. I'm creating almost like a caricature of it. I'm exaggerating things. Nothing would be perfect, but from thinking about it from a simplistic manner, you have a program where it's just pretty much positive. The kids had less education, now they have more education, so obviously they're doing better educationally. And we're not creating this other problem with the people getting stung by bees, because we don't build the goddamn schools by beehives. And then we have more money to spend because we don't have to spend money on the schools, on the swatters, on the bee repellent, right? We just spend money on the schools. So guess what? We can accommodate the main left-wing critique of left-wing policies, which is, it's not enough. Well, guess what? If you don't spend money so wastefully, if you're more efficient about how and when you spend the money, right? then you don't have these additional expenses. So we're helping a little bit here, but we're also hurting a little bit there. So then we have this net effect in the middle. No, how about we mainly just focus on helping? We help with the schools, we don't introduce this other problem, and then we have extra money so we can help even more, right? That is how these Democrats and American progressives, not the same groups at all, right? Except the Progressive Caucus, which is a fraud in my view. The Squad might be the only part of that group that's kind of sort of, a little bit different, right? But the Progressive Caucus, I think that's not even a real thing. That's like a myth. We got to be willing to, we got to look at the things that we're advocating for and think about whether they really make sense. And if they do make sense, are there any issues with advocating for that we should address so that what we advocate for can be even better? Case in point, I'll translate my personal experience to something else that we experienced. And again, where I align with the progressives, but yet I don't. I support defund the police. If you're conservative, you are shocked because you believe I support some BS, but that's only because you've been lied to by conservative media about what defund the police is really about. Now, there are some people of the defund the police mindset who do have ridiculous ideas, but those are the minority. The most people who talk about defund the police are really talking about police reform. But here's the thing. The actual defund the police, I support. However, once again, I can't just be behind a progressive policy and defund the police. No, I gotta critique the program and say, yeah, I want this program, but done correctly, right? What am I getting at? The actual defund the police, right? We're not gonna have less police officers than we need, right? We start with what's the correct number of police that we need in the area, right? And that answer can change if the defunding is done correctly. Because if you have less crime, right, over time, if it's effective, if crime is going down, then we don't need as much police, right? But you definitely want to make sure you have enough police. A key distortion from the right wing is to focus on, oh, we have crime and now you want less police. That's stupid. No one serious about defund the police is talking about reducing the police to a level to where it's not enough. And then you call, there's a crime happening, you call and there's no one there, right? The idea is you have over-policing, so you have more police than you actually need, right? I feel like I'm going the wrong way here. Okay. So you have more police, and just throwing money at police. More police, more police, more police. Let's lock them up, lock them up, lock them up, right? So you end up with more than you need. And you're spending more money on police, right? And it's not affecting the crime, right? So you reduce the excess, right? If there is excess, not every area has excess. This is a nuance that people are not going to talk about who are being dishonest about it, right? Some areas you can't reduce the police force because they already don't have enough. But in the areas where you have over-policing, you reduce the excess, right? And then you reallocate that budget to what? You reallocate that budget to people not with guns, like social workers. So for example, you have someone who's having a mental episode. Sound familiar? Sound like something I experienced recently? Somebody having a mental episode. Instead of sending someone with guns who doesn't have the training to deal with this kind of situation, you send a social worker, right? And you have the police officers on call if you need them. Maybe you have one person who's armed who stands in the background until and if they're needed. Maybe instead of deploying 5 and 6 police cars and then somebody ends up getting killed who shouldn't be killed, maybe just maybe, you have 3 or 4 social workers and maybe one squad car with a police officer who's there, who has a gun if it's needed, and he is ready to deploy more officers if needed, right? But where does the problem come in? Social workers. You mean the same people who did absolutely oh my goodness, why'd I get that tongue twister? Absolutely nothing. They didn't even try. Nothing compares to you. Sorry. They did absolutely nothing. Is that what we need? Those people? Right? Who are these social workers that we're going to send out for this guy with a mental episode? The same ones who didn't come out and didn't even try? And again, you could say like they don't have enough. You got to think there's not enough funding. The Republicans, they block, efforts to fund these programs. They're underfunded, and that's why, and that explains why the guy that they do have came to the House and doesn't even verify the conditions, right? So forget about effort to talk to the guy, calm him down. They don't even look. 5 months of trash on the deck. This guy comes and he's on my lawn for 20 minutes talking to this guy about me. The evil landlord did this, the evil landlord did that. Are those the people we want to send out under this defund the police movement? So once again, I support the stuff progressives push for, but I support them actually being done seriously. So doing them seriously, we would lower the police where there's excess police, reallocate that money, but would also make sure that the thing we're reallocating the money to is effective. We monitor these social workers, we monitor their success, right? We see issues, and we address the issues, we keep improving and improving and improving and improving. And then by doing that, we can demonstrate that this works. People can see, wow, crime is down. And then as crime gets down, we're able to lower the police force even more money for community services. The area gets safer and safer and safer. Proof of concept. Then when Democrats talk about defund the police, we want to defund the police like Chicago did. Chicago crime reduced by 40%. But they don't get to do that because they half-ass it. Just focus on whatever the tribe thing is. Defund the police, and then police are actually defunded. And you're like, yes, we defund the police. And then any metrics at all that you can point to and say, look, crime was reduced by 1%. Then you'll never know that you could have reduced it by 10, 20, or 30%. You'll never know because there's no one good faith critiquing these things. Beyond just, more, we need more of it. No one recognizing the inefficiencies.
Habitat for Humanity Restore may close within 1 hour of when you arrive.
No one recognizing the inefficiencies of the way things are done so that they can make them more efficient, right? Then you get results that people can feel. And then you don't got to be online with some bullshit talking about messaging. The problem with Democrats is their messaging. You don't got to message people when you make material change to their lives. Positive material change. If last month I was sitting there stressing about how am I going to feed my kids, and this month I'm not stressing, and it's because of something that the Democrats did. You don't got to promote that, man. Ain't nobody got to promote that. I'm good. Right? I struggled last month. I'm not struggling now. Not at the new bill, policy, whatever is in effect. You ain't got to message me. Right? I am good. But they don't want to hear that, though. They want to hide behind excuses and what their authority. We don't have the authority. We don't. What we're supposed to do? We're within majority. I know the Republicans. How about we stop the bullshit and get to work? Fuck the tribes and social media and virtue signaling. These YouTubers just on here just trying to get views and clicks while they're isolated from the things they talk about. They're not living it. I'm living it. They're not living it. Talking in their basement. Oh, this and that, and Democrats, and Joe Biden, and the Republicans, and white nationalists. Nothing but bullshit. Stop building schools for children near beehives and then feeding them soda. And investing in bee swatters and bee repellent. Fucking build the schools elsewhere. It ain't that hard. If you care. Do you? Or are you just following the leader? Comment below. This is the Baby Channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Stop the bullshit.